Tell you who's not going bust, supermarkets. Nicola Willis is the Finance Minister and joins us now. Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
You're not really going to take an axe, take a sledgehammer to these duopolies, are you? This is political performance.
No, I'm looking very carefully at it, because when we went out to the market and said, would you set up a new supermarket chain in New Zealand, one of the key bits of feedback that came from many players was actually, we're not sure that this will make sense unless you do some structural reforms to the existing incumbents. So I'm as good as my word, which was I'm going to listen to those future competitors. I'm going to do really rigorous work weighing up the costs, the risks and the benefits of that, because I think we owe it to New Zealanders to say, well, if we keep being told the current market structure is meaning you're not getting enough competition, you're not getting enough fair prices, you're not getting enough innovation, then we do need to look at the options for structural reform and from increasing competition within the existing entity. So that to me is a sensible thing to do.
All right, you keep saying
we are looking at it.
I know, but you've been looking at it for ages.
This isn't a back of the envelope exercise, Ryan. This involves very careful analysis of what the options are, Minister, how we would do it.
Your ideal situation, like let's level with people here, is you don't want to have to pull that lever. David Seymour wouldn't let you pull that lever anyway. You want these guys to sell bits of themselves of their own volition.
What I would prefer is that we get a new nationwide competitor that within the current frameworks says, yes, we're going to hit go. Now, it may be that they say to me, there are some other tweaks you need to do to make that possible. And of course, I'm going to hear them out on that. What you saw me do yesterday was respond to the specific issues that have been raised by those thinking about setting up new supermarkets in New Zealand. This is a series of bold measures which are important. And yeah, I think it's really important I do that before I leap to the structural option. But I'd also note for you, Ryan, keeps being forgotten, there are 3 parties in the coalition, and the National Party has a specific coalition agreement with New Zealand First that we will pursue options to increase competition in the New Zealand grocery sector. So I'm pursuing that agenda. Yeah,
I know that, but that's vague enough that you can or can't do divestment if you can or can't get support from David Seymour. Just a quick question, a message to the boards of Foodstuffs and Woolworths this morning. If you know, to stave off that threat, would you like them to start breaking themselves up?
Well, I've said to them, if you've got a solution that you think will bring on more competition in New Zealand, bring it to me. And they've actually indicated in all of their public statements, you will have heard them, that they agree more competition would be good for Kiwi shoppers. So I'm of the view that let's keep working constructively.
But if you're saying we might need to use regulation to break them up, that's a massive threat. I mean, if you own a supermarket right now and your Minister of Finance is saying, I might sell the business out, force you to sell the business out from under you, what does that do to your hiring? What does that do to your investment? And yet you can't say, just ask them to do it themselves. Why not?
Well, I think you'll find in reality, Ryan, most supermarkets around New Zealand are making very comfortable margins, very comfortable profits, have continued to grow over the last year, even while many other businesses are struggling. I'm not seeing any evidence that supermarkets are pulling back on their viability in this market. Also, there are quite a few options for the structural competition measures you would take, and in many of those options, the existing owner-operators would continue, but they would be working within a more competitive market structure that would mean less of the profit was going upstairs and more of the benefits were flowing to the New Zealand shopper. So there are lots of options here. We're doing the right things in the right order. First, get rid of the red tape, the green tape that's stopping competitors setting up right now. Look at whether it's working, analyse whether there's enough being done, and make sure that this is a market that works.
Totally understand you need to do your homework. Why not tell us when the homework will be done by? We were sort of cagey yesterday on when you'll get the advice. Why won't you just say?
Because I know when I'll get my initial report. I also know enough from having been a minister that when it comes through, there could be questions left unanswered that I want more rigorous analysis done. So I'm not going to set up a false deadline and then issue a subpar report. My preference is to see, well, what does that advice say? Am I satisfied it's robust enough? Do I think they've really bottomed out the questions? Is the analysis thorough enough before I then use it as the basis for recommendations about future action? So
right.
I'm not
Hey-
setting a deadline on that. This is a problem 20 years in the making.
Yes.
I want to make sure we get the solutions right.
Hey, I spoke to Ardina Williams from Labor on the radio this morning, and she was saying actually potentially the predatory pricing, beefing up the predatory pricing rules and regulations, she says could actually push prices up because this is, supermarkets who are selling goods below cost for a sustained period is what you don't want because it discourages competition. She's saying actually you could have the opposite effect on the market from what you anticipate. What do you say to that?
Well, I say she needs to learn a bit more about how competition law around the world. The predatory pricing measures that we are putting forward are based very clearly on laws in other countries which have these measures in place and which work effectively not to punish anyone who's offering low prices for a while or doing a great promotion or a small player edging in the market. They are designed for anti-competitive behaviour where a major incumbent is misusing their market power to stamp out a competitor. That's what we need to prevent, and it is possible for the law to do that with clear tests. But, the best thing about Ardina Williams' interview with you was that Labor seem to have had a road to Damascus experience in which suddenly they're in favour of fast track.
Yeah,
Last time I checked, they voted against that law, and now they're claiming that we should have done it sooner. They have voted against every measure that would make it easier to get things done in New Zealand.
Minister,
Ultimately,
funny you should
they
mention...
always side with the whiners and moaners, so I can't take her seriously.